This here is an English wheat variety called Ironstein, and it does really well in Tasmania's mild climate. It's said Ironstein holds the world record for yield at about 15.5 tonnes a hectare set in New Zealand. Although here it'll do about half that or a little bit better. Still not bad, however it's a red wheat, so not suitable for bread production. Which brings us to our next story. Recent market research has revealed that as a nation we're eating less bread, cereals, grain-based foods. GoGrains, an independent body that promotes grains by providing nutritional information to government agencies, health professionals and consumers, commissioned the research.
The equivalent of 2 slices of bread a day. That's the amount of grain-based food Australians have cut from their diet compared to 2 years ago. And given there are more than 21 million of us, that's a lot of bread and a lot of grain. It also means our diets are inadequate, and that's not healthy.
The Australian Dietary Guidelines tell us to eat at least 4 serves of grain foods a day. And we found that Australians were eating less than 4 serves, in fact just over 3 serves a day. And they weren't getting enough whole grain foods either.
The reasons why less grain-based foods are being eaten has more to do with misconceptions than fact, according to research fellow Peter Williams.
One of the most common, and particularly for women perhaps more than men, is the carbohydrate foods are fattening. And so people tell us that they're avoiding those foods, bread, as well as other grain foods, because they think it'll make them fat. The science, in fact, doesn't really show that at all.
And it's not only the weight-conscious who are eating less grain.
Another one that's really becoming more important recently, and we don't understand it so well, is people are avoiding it because they think they have an intolerance to particularly wheat. Now, there are a few people in the community that have a real allergy to wheat, but it's only about 1%. But in the latest survey, up to 15% were saying they were avoiding these foods because of concerns about intolerance, and it probably isn't well diagnosed or even appropriately diagnosed.
It's misconceptions and apprehensions such as these that GoGrains is working to change by interpreting scientific information for the consumer's benefit.
Our primary focus is to review the evidence around grains and legumes nutrition science and grains and legumes consumer behaviour. So how are they incorporating grains and legumes into their diet every day? And from that we compile key messages to encourage Australians to include more grains and legumes in their diet every day.
And there are plenty of good news stories out there to promote, especially about whole grain foods.
There's been a lot of research, particularly in the last 10 years, and in relation to most of our chronic diseases that are problems in our community, like increasing obesity, increasing rates of diabetes, cancer, and high blood pressure and blood lipids, all of those really could be improved if people had more whole grains. The evidence is really very consistent about all of those major diseases probably being able to be improved if we ate more whole grains in our diet.
GoGrains recommends 48 grams of whole grain foods be consumed daily, and it's urging the National Health and Medical Research Council to include the recommendation in its guidelines.
Consumers need guidance. I think there's just so much choice out there. There's many food groups, there's many foods that are available within those food groups, and those guidelines provide that guidance to Australians in terms of what foods are included and how much to eat of those foods every day.
To help consumers understand how much grain-derived foods they should eat, GoGrains turns abstract figures into tangible amounts.
We interpret the recommended daily intakes to guide consumers as to how much is a serve. So for example, 2 Weet-Bix is 1 serve of core grain foods, 2 slices of bread, or a cup of cooked rice or pasta. So it's really there to guide them as to how much is equal to a serve. So then you can add that up to have your 4 serves a day.
Everyone knows whole grains are good for you. In fact, these 4 Vita-weats contain 40% of the whole grains I need every day.
There's no doubt that identifying quantities and linking them to health benefits helps boost demand. Uncle Toby's Oats' recent cholesterol challenge led to an estimated 55 million additional bowls of porridge being eaten in Australia over the last 4 years. By working with food companies, GoGrains can use this dialogue between manufacturers and consumers to include nutritional information on packaging. Simple point-of-sale messages are a direct way of reaching consumers.
Yes, it does help us sell more products because it interprets the information for consumers. They're able to make a quick decision within the supermarket about what product meets their needs. And in this busy, fast-paced lifestyle, consumers are after quick health and nutrition information that meets their needs and the needs of their families.
While Australians eat more grain foods than any other core food group, around 400 million serves a week, it should be more. Stopping the trend away from grain foods is why GRDC decided to back GoGrains. Increasing grain consumption will produce significant returns for grain growers.
If we can move consumers from where they're at today, having approximately 3 serves of grains a day up to 4 serves of grains a day, which is what the dietary guidelines are telling us to eat, we could realise an additional $50 million in value of wheat at the farm gate year on year.